Hi, it's Larry Call, and welcome to Revenue Secrets. I'm here with Paul M. Neuberger, and Paul has an incredible background in an area that, to my point of view, is one of the most important things for self-employed CEOs to get control of their revenue, focus on the clients that they want, and get the business that they deserve. And he's cracked the code on this. And we're all focused on LinkedIn and social selling and branding and messaging and storytelling and all of these things. But what about picking up the phone and calling somebody? And I'm not talking about telemarketing and doing this in volume. We're not talking about SDRs here. We're talking about high-level business professionals reaching out to other high-level business professionals to have a dialogue. They want you to call them, and they don't get called by as many people as you think at that level of quality. So I want to turn this over to Paul and get a sense of how he's solved this problem and how he sees this powerful tool working today for people.
Yeah, well, thank you, Larry. It's wonderful to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss one of my favorite topics, oddly enough, which is cold calling. I don't know if my parents dropped me on my head a lot as a youth or what, but I've always been drawn to things that are very, very difficult. And one of the things that gets me out of bed every morning is the notion that I really aspire to make the impossible possible. If somebody says something's impossible, if somebody says something can't be done, if somebody says, you know what, you'll never be able to achieve this, get out of my way and watch out, because that's when I'm at my best. And I've always been told that you got to play to your strengths. And I think God has richly blessed each and every one of us with a unique set of talents and abilities. I didn't ask for my gifts, but one of the strengths that I have is the ability to communicate, a rather powerful voice. I've been told that I can be charismatic once or twice on a good day. And I just thought, all right, well, as I got into sales, I got to play to that a little bit more. My charm, my wit, that can't come out via direct mail. My sometimes charismatic personality, that can't come out via cold email. So because I thought the phone was a good way for those intangibles to be put on full display, when I thought that the phone would be a good way to leverage those strengths, I decided to go all in. But here's the thing. Just about every single organization I've ever worked for would supply me with a script. And I'd look at it and I'd say, well, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. This isn't a script, however. This is toilet paper. There's no way this is going to be effective. And some of the results prove that to be correct. And I'm just a very tenacious guy. And I didn't want my ability to provide for my family to be hindered because this organization didn't know how to cold call. They didn't know how to script. They didn't know what to say to pique curiosity and create a profound sense of urgency. So when I was a financial advisor with Thrive in Financial, that was the first job, Larry, that I ever had, where I was 100% commission based. Now it's, if I don't sell, if I can't master this cold call thing, my family and I are going to be in a world of hurt. So over the course of 6 or 7 months, I just started thinking outside the box, looking for better scripts, better value propositions, better talk tracks, better ways to structure the script. And after a while, I'd make 15 calls, schedule 15 appointments, and that forms the basis of everything that I teach my clients today.
So you obviously have a natural talent. You've got the personality, you've got the charisma, the drive, and the tenacity. How does somebody do this if their natural makeup gears more towards intellectual, analytical kind of work?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that we do with respect to my organization, namely the Cold Call Coach, is we help from a scripting perspective. And there's a couple things that go into this. The way that I kind of look at it, Larry, when you said that, like the first thought that came into my mind was like, when you're teaching a youngster how to ride a bike for the very first time, it's not, well, this youngster has a better disposition with respect to balance. This youngster has a better grip on the handlebars than the other person. Therefore, they're going to ride the bike better. Everybody really kind of starts off in the same area. And to get them good at riding the bike, you fix training wheels to it. Mm-hmm. So even if you're a little unsteady, even if you're a little unsure, even if you don't really have your sea legs yet, those training wheels are going to stabilize the bike and allow you to move forward until you're ready for those training wheels to come off. And that's one of the things that I think we really specialize in. All of our training at the Cold Call Coach is 100% customizable. It's not our client's job to fit our mold. It's our job to fit our client's mold. And because we believe people buy people first in these cold call scripts and in the cold call talk tracks, we believe in highlighting the strengths of this person, their intangibles, their stories, their background, some of their philosophies in a really unique way that is 100% truly them. And what starts to happen is somebody could say, I don't have a loud voice. I don't have the charisma. I don't have this natural inclination to be witty and think outside the box. That's okay. Because if you're working with somebody that helps you develop a script just as unique as you are, that highlights your skill sets, your philosophies, your intangibles, it just takes a little while for that person to start witnessing some success. As they witness some success, they get a little bit more confident. As they get a little bit more confident, it comes across in their voice, it comes across in how they conduct themselves, which begets even more success. So we just find people just need the training wheels on a little bit longer. People just need a little push in the back slightly a little bit. And once they get this tangible momentum, which they inevitably will, then the success just starts feeding off each other.
So what I'm hearing you say is anybody can do this. It's not personality type dependent. And the key is having some sort of a methodology that works and has been proven to work. And what you're saying, I think, is that starts with a template, a script of some sort. Can you talk a little bit more about the script?
Sure. Yeah. And you're exactly right. People just need to know where to start. And one of the things that I love is I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a passion of mine. I spend many hours every single day on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn can be insanely intimidating if you have no idea where to start. As I see that people show up on LinkedIn, hey, this is going to be great. I'm going to grow my business. Well, what do I do? From content creation to adding connections to hunting to doing all the research to taking care to looking at Sales Navigator. There's so many places to start. People get overwhelmed and they stop. And the same thing is true with cold calling. Mm-hmm. What do I say? Who do I say it to? What's my value add? You just need a little push in the right direction. And that starts with the script. So to your question, let's talk a little bit about the script. I'll give you a couple of high-level overview of this, but I believe that this forms the foundation of long-lasting, enduring success for anybody that elects to use this. Our script, again, everything that we talk about is highly personalized, but at least this gives somebody the foundation with where to start. We believe in defensive cold calling, not offensive cold calling. Offensive cold calling is what you say. Defensive cold calling is what you don't say. Offensive cold calling is what you put in. Defensive cold calling is what you take out. We believe that if you're going to be successful day in and day out, you have to be a defensive cold caller. Because what starts to happen is people run the risk of what I call self-incrimination. Self-incrimination is defined as, I didn't say that I was selling something directly, but based upon what I say and how I said it, the prospect on the other end of the phone assumes I'm a salesperson. And the minute you start giving off a salesy vibe, either intentional or unintentional, that's when the call starts to go south. Mm-hmm. So we pique curiosity by saying very little. We generate interest by saying very little. We create urgency by saying very little. And our script is comprised of 5 parts, 5 distinct parts, kind of like an instruction manual. First do A, then do B, then do C. 5 distinct parts in a certain order. Our scripts are exactly 6 sentences in duration, no more, no less. I know you might be thinking 6 sentences, what's with this knucklehead? No, we have this thing down to a science after all, exactly 6 sentences. And it should take the person making the cold calls between 20 to 25 seconds to execute. Very, very short, unconventional, and that's why they work so well.
So let's go through the parts a bit. Can you take us through what those look like?
Sure. I'll give you a high-level overview, Larry, because usually we charge good money for these secrets. But I'll give your listeners a high-level overview, and I think this will at least
free part. Whatever's free. If anybody's interested, we'll connect them with you.
Absolutely. Well, only on the Larry Call program would I even dare go this route. But yeah, just to give everybody kind of a high-level overview. Again, the entire script, all we're trying to do is pique curiosity, buy time. That's it. Every single step of the process, pique curiosity, buy time. Pique curiosity just means generating interest, allowing them to say, huh, interesting, go on. Because if we can get them to say, huh, interesting, go on 2 or 3 times with such a short script anyway, before they know it, we're through the duration of the script and everything is done. We got our message across. The first part of the script is what we call an assumptive greeting. Basically, I want the cold caller to greet the prospect in a manner that makes the prospect assume we've met. Now, I'm a Christian first and foremost, so I don't want to lie. I don't want to be unethical. I don't want to be deceitful. So we're not going to say, hey, Larry, Paul Neuberger, we met last week. If you did not meet them last week, you
get a
cannot
few of those
say.
every once in a while.
Yeah, you cannot go down that route. Who wants to start a relationship off on a lie? But if I say something in a manner that makes you assume that we've met, that's entirely different. So we're going to greet them in a manner that makes them assume we've met. Next, we go on to what's called the attention trigger. It is a 1-sentence statement that's customized based on who they are and what they do that makes them go, huh, interesting. Then we go on to what's called the value add proposition. That's our central thesis. That is where we hit them with the hook. This is what's in it for you. This is the value proposition. This is why you're going to want to continue this conversation. Then we move on to part 4. Part 4 is called the established credibility section. It's 2 sentences, the longest portion of our script, and it does exactly what it sounds like. This is where you connect the dots. This is where you dot the I's, cross the T's. You bring the entire script together. Basically, this is where you finish the sentence that begins with, what I mean by that is. So this is where you fill in some of those important details. And then lastly, part 5 is the call to action. Now that I've got your attention, now that I've offered you something of value, now that I've established credibility, hopefully the prospect's going, huh, okay, cool, what's next? The call to action in 1 sentence is where you tell them what's next and hopefully secure that dedicated time.
Thanks for that. I appreciate you outlining that methodology at that high level. It's very helpful. I think we can all get a sense of what you're talking about, more the specifics of it, a little bit more specifically. If I'm working through something like this and I'm delivering it, what kind of results should I expect over, let's say, the first 3 months as I'm putting those training wheels on and starting to take them off?
Oh, immediate results, Larry. And this is one of those things that it's designed to be, it's designed to work, and it's designed to work quickly. Part of the reason that individuals stink at cold calling usually is because they're basically salespeople trying to sell something, and they sound exactly like salespeople trying to sell something, even for your group, even for these CEOs that maybe aren't, they're not directors of sales per se, but everybody is always selling. You're selling an idea, you're selling a service, you're selling a collaboration, you're selling an opportunity. Everybody is always selling. And the minute somebody starts to get a whiff of, well, Larry's only calling me because he's pushing a product, Larry's only calling me because he wants something out of this, you're done. It's not fair, but you're done. So for us, because we do it in a different order, because we're non-salesy, because we don't self-incriminate, because we're defensive cold callers, because it's all about value and what we're going to give versus what we're going to sell, people notice results quickly. The national cold call success rate in this country, now this varies a little bit, but based upon the research that I've done and some of the anecdotal information I've seen, the average cold call success rate in this country is approximately 5.5%. I don't know about you, but I don't know in any other profession on planet Earth where a 5.5% success rate is okay and permissible. Imagine if your doctor only got your diagnosis right 5.5% of the time. Imagine if your auto mechanic only correctly fixed your car 5.5% of the time. They would be disbarred, maybe even thrown into jail. Our clients over the past 6.5 years have witnessed a 36.4% cumulative cold call success rate. How do I define cold call success? That's usually the very next question. It's based upon what you say and how you say it. Were you able to secure dedicated time with the decision maker? It's not, I didn't get hung up on. It's not somebody said, well, maybe I'll think about it. It's, hey, I'm talking to the decision maker. Was I able to secure an appointment, phone call, something else? With respect to voicemail, that success rate nationwide is even worse. The voicemails, the rate in which voicemails get returned in this country is less than 1%, 0.7. And even then, it's usually an accident. Somebody calling back, oops, I thought this was Domino's. Sorry about that. 0.7% voicemail response rate. Over the course of the last 6.5 years, my clients have a voicemail response rate of 23.1%. It's crazy. I love it when I say those numbers because people think I'm some kind of a genius. I'm not. It's just I'm an astute observer of human nature, and I recognize that people aren't going to voluntarily walk into something salesy. So if you do it in a different order, using a different talk track, with a value add proposition that taps into their self-interest and self-preservation, you can literally become a cold call ninja overnight.
So you're talking about something that traditionally has been looked at as a volume game. So there's still a numbers aspect to it, even though here, obviously, you're talking about something a little bit different, higher level of quality in how you're doing it. But what is the numbers aspect of it? How much do you have to put out there to get the kind of result that you're talking about?
Not much. I mean, I think somebody needs to find their comfort zone. Somebody needs to find their sea legs, because again, it's like old Uncle Mo, if you've heard that before. Uncle Momentum. I can work with somebody very hands-on over the course of several months, but man, if they're still ungodly nervous, they could have the greatest talk track in the world, but they're going to sound nervous. They're going to sound self-conscious. They're going to sound unsure of themselves. And gosh, why would I want to meet with this person that doesn't even seem sure they know what's going on? And that's okay. I mean, I'm not saying this to add pressure. I'm not saying this to make people feel worse about themselves. With cold calling, especially, you have an unlimited amount of opportunity to get into the house. That's part of the reason why people get so nervous, Larry. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't want to blow this. Oh my gosh, you only have one chance to make a favorable first impression. Sure, that's correct. But if you look at an organization, let's say like, it's a big organization, but let's say Coca-Cola. You're trying to reach a C-suite executive at Coca-Cola. Somebody could say, oh man, if that guy picks up the phone, I'm not ready. I don't want to blow it. Well, even if you're nervous, even if you're uncomfortable, even if you're not sure of yourself and that call goes sideways, we teach the JGIF model. Just get inside the house. JGITH. If the decision maker says no, if the decision maker is unavailable, if the decision maker is non-accessible, think about how many points of entry a company like Coca-Cola has. It's immense. And if I'm working with somebody that realizes, hey, you know what? I've got 85 opportunities to get inside this organization. I can get told no 84 times, but if on the 85th time I'm still able to get in, I'm going to be okay. Why would you have to be nervous? You wouldn't. You might even take a couple calls off just to kind of work on your rhythm and kind of work on your cadence a little bit. So as people make more calls, they're naturally going to get more comfortable. But based on our approach, I've got clients that make 5 calls a day, every day, all week. They're scheduling more appointments than people I know making 150 calls a day, because we're strategic, because we're building this in a very customized way, because it taps into human psychology, and most importantly, it's non-salesy. So cold calling, no more, is a numbers game.
I like what you're saying for a self-employed CEO. I don't think it's realistic to put someone in a position where they're making this a daily routine in terms of hours and hours every day, using this as their primary business development effort. But I do see it as a critical strategic element, and I'm curious to hear what you think about this kind of a leave behind for everyone. It is, get your short list together. The most important people that you've absolutely got to get in front of to make a dramatic difference in your business and your revenue, and identify them, who they are and where they are, put together all of the pieces that Paul's talking about, and get a plan on your calendar, do some time blocking, and make sure that you call those people. Now do your other stuff, your LinkedIn and your marketing and everything else, but you have a better chance of getting that high level, most influential decision maker if you go right at them directly. If you do it, you have the right methodology.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more, Larry. I'm the cold call coach, Yet I spend more of my time on LinkedIn than cold calling. I'm probably only making 30 to 45 minutes of cold calling per day, quite frankly, because I don't need to make any more cold calls than that. If you make
Yeah.
very high quality calls, going after high quality ideal clients, utilizing a high quality cold call script with a high quality value add proposition, you don't need to do any more than that. And let me just give you and your listeners one quick example, Larry, if I may. We believe that the war on cold calling is literally won or lost before you ever pick up the phone. And one of the things that we think each client or each individual needs to do is they really need to spend time honing in on who their ideal client is. So for me, just to say, I want to get in front of the CEO, that's good. But is that CEO and his or her organization an absolute ideal client for my products and services? If the answer is no, and it very well may be, then I think we should move on to somebody else, because you're never going to be very successful calling somebody who's not an ideal fit for your products and services. So we recommend that anybody we work with or anybody listening to this identifies their ideal client, either B2B or B2C. And I think everybody on this call knows what that is, but B2B, business to business, B2C, business to consumer. It works for both. But we think that you should identify your ideal client in 6 specific, objective, quantifiable metrics. And I'll give you a quick example. And as I go through this, it's almost like an upside down triangle, because with every step, with every criteria, we're getting less and less and less and less organizations that meet that criteria. So by the time we're done, there might only be 87 organizations that even meet that criteria. The quantity people go, oh crap, what am I going to do all week? I'm going to burn through 87 in a day. Well, the quality people go, woohoo, I get to go deep with 87. I get to spend time on 87 rather than going so wide and so thin that I got to spend 7 hours a day cold calling. Here's my ideal client criteria at the Cold Call Coach, just to give you, Larry, and your listeners something to use as an example. So I'll just go through it. A, it's a for-profit organization. This is what I'm hunting. I'm hunting for-profits, and I can go into why later if you want, but I'm hunting for-profit organizations. B, they're located in southeastern Wisconsin, which is exactly where my headquarters is. C, they specialize in B2B transactions. So a Northwestern Mutual, for instance, would not qualify. These are organizations that sell to other organizations. 4, this is an organization that has a relatively large sales team. They've got at least 15 individuals on their sales team. That makes them a better fit for me. 5, the average age of this sales team is less than or equal to 30. It is a young, inexperienced sales team. And last but not least, the life event, which I believe is the #1 timing mechanism for cold call success. Every top 6 should have one life event. My life event is the turnover rate within the sales team of this organization is at least 25%. Very high turnover rate. They have a hard time keeping butts in the seats. Those are great opportunities for me to present myself. Those are great opportunities for me to potentially work with. The life event is anything that this individual or organization could be going through where there's an urgent need for your services. That's the timing mechanism. That's what you should be looking for. And when you see it, that's when you know that you should be cold calling. If your clients, if your listeners, Larry, can break down their ideal client in 6 specific, quantifiable, objective criteria, A, they're going to have a very high quality list. B, they're not wide so much as they are deep. So that allows them to really focus on those opportunities. And C, now we can build a customized cold call script around those few entities rather than being a script where it's all things to all people. Now we can build a customized script that's going to speak the language of however many ideal clients you have on that list.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate all your ideas. Love what you're doing. It's very exciting. There's a lot of value for people in what you're saying. If somebody's interested in getting into the details, learning more about this, what should they do to get in touch?
So the best place to go is my website. It's a central repository of everything that I'm involved in. And that's just my first name, Paul, my middle initial M as in Mike, and then my last name, N-E-U-B as in boy, E-R-G-E-R.com. So PaulMNeuberger.com.
Awesome. Thanks again, Paul. I appreciate all your time and all the insights and wisdom that you have to offer.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, Larry. Thank you for the opportunity today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. If you're self-employed and tired of not having enough great clients, join our free Revenue Climber Club. Click salessherpa.co for details and to sign up for the community. Stop climbing alone and reach the summit together with us.